So today, an adventure bike ride. Plan is to meet Nigel at McDonald's at Berwick at 10 o'clock. So today I'm riding my Royal Enfield Himalayan 2020 model it is. It's the 411cc fuel injected version. It is an adventure bike, so quite different to the bike that I rode in Tassie, which is really set up for riding on the road. Traffic was light, it was a beautiful day. Generally, when we meet for a ride, for an adventure bike ride anyway, we meet at a cafe somewhere. McDonald's is, for obvious reasons, pretty nice and easy, and they're all over the place. So it's quite often that we will meet at Macca's. Berwick was an unusual one for us. We normally at Pakenham or somewhere like that. So, after a bacon and egg McMuffin and a cafe latte, it's time to hit the road. Some nice bitumen bends to start, not too long until we found the dirt. Plan for the ride was to head into the Kurth-Kiln Regional Park into towards Beenak and around the Beenak Cemetery and 7 Acre Rock Lookout. Um, the GPS, we always set, but quite often we lose signal, and so we not uncommon to go around and round in circles for a little bit, but we're happy with that. It's all about the riding. And this is a park we've been into before. I actually really like it. There's generally very little traffic, as you can see. I mean, we've passed one car and I think we passed one motorbike. So obviously at times the four-wheel drives get out here, but we've been pretty lucky the last couple of times we've been out here and had no traffic. This part of the ride, sort of a downhill stretch, is a part that I've not been on before. It got a little bit gnarly in spots. There were some ruts and whatnot, and certainly some big dips and whatnot that we needed to be mindful of. And given that we've not had any rain, the ruts were all well formed and rock hard. So we really needed to be very, very careful when we were heading down here. Having said that, it was a really nice part of the ride. As you can see, it's all a bit rainforesty and whatnot, and again, no traffic, so we could take our time. I was riding with Nigel today. Nigel's on his BMW R1200 GS adventure bike, obviously significantly bigger than my bike, but on the dirt, he's still got to tread just as carefully as I do. Just up ahead here, we decided to stop for a toilet break and a cold drink, but and when we were trying to leave, disaster struck. Nigel's battery had died. Alright, places to go to break down. It's a pretty beautiful spot. We did have a little bit of phone signal, but we ended up taking the battery out of my bike to get put into his bike to get it started, and then we took that battery back and put it back into my bike. We were both actually surprised that that plan worked. We assumed that when we disconnected my battery from his bike, that his bike would go off, but surprisingly it didn't. And we were able to keep our trip happening. We were a fair way from anywhere. The pen sort of shows about where we were. After we got his bike started, we couldn't turn it off, and I don't know why my camera was pointing at the ground, but I've slowed this down and you'll see shortly. Unfortunately, I was unable to avoid running over a snake. Unlike in Tassie last week, I didn't stop and go back. Nigel was behind me, and when we spoke later, he's pretty sure he hit it as well. So after getting moving again, we set the GPS for super cheap auto in Pakenham so we could replace the battery. Obviously being careful that Nigel didn't stall it or we couldn't turn his engine off, because otherwise we'd have to remove batteries and whatnot again. The ride back to Pakenham from the breakdown spot was about an hour and a quarter. Whilst we did think that with the GPS that once we hit bitumen we would stay on the bitumen back to Pakenham, I'd obviously had my settings to avoid main roads, and as such it found us lots and lots of fun dirt to ride back on. Parts of this were really slippery. Other parts weren't too bad, but it was like where it had like a blue metal loose top. It was super slippery, and we both needed to be pretty careful in terms of how we used the accelerator and brakes. For all the adventure, we certainly did get magical weather though. So, um, an adventure ride without anybody getting hurt is a very positive adventure ride. What we did learn is that whilst we usually have our jumper kits and jump leads and all that sort of stuff, today we didn't, and that we need to make sure that every time we go out for a ride, we've got all of our recovery gear, so that if we do break down, we don't end up in the situation like we did today. And here's Nigel now putting his battery back in at the front of Super Cheap Auto in Pakenham, fumbling with his fat fingers. So another ride ends, a safe ride. Nobody got hurt, but we did learn some lessons. And it's important for us as older blokes that we don't let the old man in.